Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about winterizing our garden and what does that mean and what does it look like. So winterizing just means preparing the garden for the winter. A lot of my flowers cannot stay in the garden over the winter time because the cold weather will kill them. So we're going to talk about canna lilies. Canna lilies are one of my favorite, and as you can see, and the cameraman's going to scroll around, you can see in my garden there's a lot of canna lilies. I have them up in the front, I have them on the side of my garden, and I have them all the way in the back. So the first thing we're talking about is how do we winterize? What does it look like? What does it feel like? When you winterize your garden, and we're going to show you in the rest of the video, but you're going to pull up. You may also cover with straw. You may also take the bulbs out. You may cut down. Those are what it means to winterize. In addition to those, here you will see my geraniums. I love my geraniums, and so what will happen is I'll pull them out, I'll put them in a pot, put them in my classroom. As you guys know, I'm an agricultural science teacher, so those will go in my classroom and they'll grow all winter long, and then next year I'll just bring them out. Okay, we're also going to, not today, or of course not all of this is going to get done today, but it will get done between now and first frost. Here in Pennsylvania, the first frost is around November the 17th. I will be cutting back on my tomato plants. This is an eggplant. I'll be cutting that back. My gardens are pretty much done. So all I have to do is, and you see one lucky head of lettuce survived when I started cleaning it out. All I'll do with this is I'll put some straw on top of it for the winter season. And over here I have some peppers. Some peppers are still growing, so I will keep them. If you leave a pepper on too long, this is what happens to it. Okay, obviously that's not good pepper. My strawberries are doing really well, so I'll leave them alone. And then in a few weeks I will be digging up my rosemary. Probably not in a few weeks. I'll probably be doing that within the next couple of days. And my mint, my chives. But as you can see, I have lots of work to do to get us ready for the winter. Okay, so the first thing I do when I'm trying to winterize my canna lilies is I cut off the seeds. As you can see here, there are seed pods. All of these seed pods will turn into flowers for next year. So how does that look? So I come here, take my scissors. Now I clean my pruners. There's one. And my helper, if he ever gets here, will be cutting these down for me. But now, why do I take the seeds? I take the seeds so that next year in my classroom I can sell the canna lily seeds, or I can sell actual canna lilies because I'll grow them with my students. Remember, my class does a lot of gardening, so we just cut all of these off. There we go. So the next step is to cut all the way down at the bottom. So I always leave about an inch. Now, some people take and they lay these down on the ground and they keep them there to kind of mulch the area. I have done that, but to me, it's just easier to pull up the flowers. And the reason I pull them up because I live in Pennsylvania. Now, there are people who live in Pennsylvania who say they don't pull theirs up, and that's on you. I just don't want to pay for these over and over again. So I just pull them out and hope that next year I can put them back in the ground. It makes life easier for everybody. Okay, so now my assistant is going to help us by digging these out. And here he's got a shovel, and I have a pointed shovel here, and it's just going to dig around it. If he should happen to hit a bulb, it's okay. A tuber, not a bulb. It's okay. So go ahead and start digging those out for me, sir. If you wait till around the 17th of November or after the first frost, they're going to start turning black, and then it's going to be mushy and nasty. So I would do it as early before the first frost as possible. And also it's not as cold for you to be outside trying to get all these up. This is only if you decide. So here is one. So, and this is a great one to show you that this is what a tuber looks like. What I'm going to do now is, while he's still cutting, is cutting all the roots off. I cut all the roots off. You want to cut the roots off because it allows it to stop growing during the winter. And you want it to go dormant. So that's one of the great things about it. You want to cut all the roots off. And as you can see, I'm just using my shears and I'm just cutting them off. And this will be a whole new plant. This is one. This was one when I put it in the ground. And now I'm going to probably have about 6 of them at the end of this. And so I have about 12 around the yard, which would probably give me somewhere about 50 of them by the end of this cleanup. And again, like I said, I sell them for my students, for our agricultural program at the school. And this is a really healthy one. Now what I'll do is I will make sure I clean all the dirt off also. And then after that, we store them. And first thing I do is I just let them sit outside. Well, not outside, but I let them sit out and dry out. You want them to dry out. And then to store them properly, I place them in a cardboard box with paper shredded paper in it. So this is almost good. I'll come back through and use some finer scissors to get all the good stuff off. There you go. So that's what it should look like at the end. It's gonna give me another one. And remember, this is all from that one little area. Can you show the area again? That he is cleaning out. So now I have, from that one he just handed me, I have 2. I have this one, and then I have this one over here. So I'm gonna do the same thing, just down on the table, and I'm gonna cut these off. You just want to cut off all the roots. And so he put another one over on the table for me. There we go. And I store these inside. You can put them in the basement. You can put them, I put them in my classroom. Oh, that was one we did already. This one has very few roots on it, but it will still grow next year. I'm going to cut off this end here that's kind of dead. Yeah. There we go. And I got another one coming to me. Cutting off all the roots that we don't want to keep growing over the winter time. Okay, so I'm going to take the cut canna lilies. And as you can see, I cleaned them off, and a few of them still need to be cleaned off real good. But I'm going to take the cut canna lilies and I'm going to store them in this brown box. And the reason I store them in the box is because people can use paper bags, but I use the brown box because I have so many of them. And I just lay them down. And they'll sit in here like this for about 4 days. 4 days will give them enough time to dry out, and then after they dry out, I'll throw paper on top of them. The shredded paper helps keep the moisture out. So if you're storing them, I would recommend a brown bag. I would recommend a brown box, but I would never put them in plastic because plastic can retain water and moisture, and that could kill your roots. Okay? Okay, to finalize this process, the first thing I do is after I dig everything up, I turn the soil over. So I turn the soil over just to make sure I can get some good nutrients for next year. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of leaves from the flower and I'm going to put them down on the ground. The reason is these leaves will decompose and they'll put nutrients in the soil. I'm also going to add some eggshells. You know how I feel about eggshells. Eggshells provide calcium to your flowers and they help them grow. So I throw some eggshells down there. Now, this will not be the last time that they see eggshells because throughout the winter time, I may throw some eggshells down after I eat. So now we have eggshells, we have the leaves, and then I'm going to put on top of the leaves some straw. I always keep a bag of straw around. The straw provides nitrogen to the soil, and it also kind of helps from getting weeds in the beginning of the season. So, this is how I winterize my canna lilies in Philadelphia. This is POG. I hope you had a great time learning about your canna lilies. Keep growing, keep learning. Thank you. See you again.